Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Declaration of Interdependence. So I'm going to give you a little journey about what interests me, which is how are we connected in the 21st century? And throughout my career, I've looked at this from a lot of different lenses. So I started out, how many of you have heard of the Webby Awards? So I founded the Webby Awards 17 years ago. And I ran it for 10 years. And I made films before the Webby Awards. But when I saw the web, I thought, this is going to change the world. And started the Webbies. And it was very exciting because I was in my 20s and the web was really a small part of consciousness. And to kind of ride that with the timing being just right was, you know, if you were in San Francisco in the 90s, it was like you were in the center of the universe, and of course it's now spread all over the globe. And then I wanted to get back to making movies, and of course my interest in making movies is now movies combined with the power of the web for engagement. And I'm going to show you a little bit from some of my films. I think that really, it's such a sweet spot. I mean, it's interesting that this is market research because the web in so many ways is a living, live form of market research every single moment that you interact with it. When you're tweeting, when you're putting out a Facebook post, what that response is, what that engagement is marketing. I actually really think of marketing as engagement now. And a lot of my work really experiments with engagement with filmmaking, which of course can apply to so many things. So I'm going to first show you the trailer for a film, a feature-length documentary I just finished called Connected. And what I was really interested in was, I started making this movie about 6 years ago, and everyone was talking about the major issues of our time as if they were separate. It still feels like they do, like the economy, the environment, all of these issues, when really everything, and I think what the internet has shown, that is beeping, is that everything is connected. So I wanted to look at the history of interdependence and connectedness from the beginning of civilization and where we are today and where we are going. That's what I originally set out to do. And, oh, hello. Hello. Let me see. Play slideshow. Thank you. Okay, we're all good. So I was making this film about connectedness, and my father, who's an author, was co-writing it with me. And he has written a lot of books about, throughout civilization, the connection between disparate things. He wrote a book called Art and Physics, Parallel Visions in Space, Time, and Light, and he looked at how literacy affected culture. So I asked him to be a co-writer of the movie with me. So we had just gotten started making a film about connectedness, and it was very historical. It had a lot of references to popular culture. And then in the middle of making this film, my father, who I'm incredibly close to, was diagnosed with brain cancer and given 9 months to live. And this was the same week that I found out I was pregnant, which of course is 9 months. So here I was going through this incredibly traumatic experience, and I was watching a cut of my film, which is exploring what does connectedness mean in history and in the world. And I realized I'm making a film about connectedness and technology, and I haven't explored at all emotional connectedness. And really to understand why we have such a desire for all these devices and tweeting and emailing and texting, I can't even get to the core of that issue without understanding connectedness emotionally. And of course, our first connection is with our parents. And when you're about to lose a parent, you really reevaluate what connection means and what disconnection means. So it was at that moment in the editing room that I realized that this movie was only halfway being explored, and I had to delve into something that was very scary for me, which was a more autobiographical element. And so I'm going to show you a trailer from the film. Oh, so wait a second. Oh, good. Thank you for learning the lights. One thing when I was, I'm going to, wait a second. Here we go. So I'm at lunch with this really good friend of mine, and we are having a fantastic time. I haven't seen her in years. We're laughing, drinking, talking. but I'm still getting this urge to check my email. And I was like, Tiffany, stay focused. You traveled all the way across the United States to see her, stay focused. But eventually it was like, it overtook me. And then I faked needing to go to the bathroom. So I excused myself, grabbed my phone, go into the bathroom stall, kind of hiding, texting, emailing, thinking, what if I become? I can't be the only one sneaking to the bathroom to check my email. Technology is clearly changing us, and the way we connect with our friends, our families, and the world around us. So I set out to make a film about what it means to be connected in the 21st century. Things are changing. There's so much more to think about, and that pace of change is only accelerating. How much faster can it go before we can't keep up? This was the kind of question I was exploring in this film. And then I had this year that turned my world upside down and forced me to rethink everything I thought I understood about the ways we're connected. We as humans have accumulated so much knowledge. Why do we have such a hard time seeing the bigger picture? For centuries, we've been declaring independence, and perhaps it's time to finally declare our interdependence. So while I was making the film, I started also thinking a lot about how I was online all the time. And was that good or was that bad? And of course, obviously, I'm a huge advocate for technology. I think there's so much potential with everything it allows us to do. But I was also getting worried because when you have someone dying in your life, like, what is time really about? And is it okay to be online all the time? And my husband and I, my husband's a professor of robotics at Berkeley, UC Berkeley, so he's obviously very immersed in technology too, and we were kind of online, it felt like 24/7. And we, how many of you know Allen Ginsberg's poem, Howl? So we decided to rewrite Allen Ginsberg's Howl and make it kind of about our addiction to technology, because one thing we started doing when my father was ill is we started taking 1 day a week off from technology completely. So on sundown Friday night, we call it our technology Shabbats, and we go offline for 24 hours. And I have to tell you, it's changed my life. It's been over a year now that I unplug completely with my children and my husband 1 day a week. And it's this amazing thing, because not only does it make you feel a lot more present for 1 day, but then you reappreciate technology in this whole new way on Saturday night. And I can't wait to go back online. And then the ability to text and email any person you think about, like, you almost every week I reappreciate the power of all of this technology that we have. So anyways, my husband and I made this, we rewrote Allen Ginsberg's Howl, and we made this short film that I'm going to show you called Yelp.
I saw the best minds of my generation distracted by texting, emailing, tweeting, dragging their cursors through Google links at dawn, looking for an info fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ultra-fast heavenly connection to the starry dynamo and the machinery of night, who wired and networked and hollow-eyed and caffeinated, sat up searching in the imaginary comfort of Facebook friends, floating across the tops of cities, contemplating signals, who bared their brains to GPS under satellites and saw Wikipedian angels editing on collective knowledge illuminated, who passed through Wi-Fi hotspots with radiant Bluetooth earphones, hallucinating avatars in low-res Second Life islands among the gamers of Warcraft, who were expelled from chat rooms with dreams, with wireless nightmares, megapixels, alcohol, YouTube, and endless eyeballs, who connected via instant messaging in underwear, burning their money on eBay impulse purchases, tapping into the zeitgeist through the synapses of Twitter, who jacked in continuously 70 hours from Pandora to iPod to Amazon to Flickr to Boing Boing, yakety-yakking, primal screaming, unblinking, participating. Unplug! 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 I'm with you in the compulsion to check inboxes, news feeds, and Facebook. Unplug! I'm with you in the addiction and longing for focus. Unplug! I'm with you to cut the umbilical cord of data. Unplug! I'm with you to disconnect from the infosphere. Unplug! I'm with you to power down and revisit the present tense.
So, thank you. So I highly recommend it. Again, it'll give you a little bit more peace of mind, help you reset your soul, and also help you kind of reappreciate technology in a whole new way. And I think I'm really mostly interested, I think we're moving so quickly, and we're not spending a moment to go, what's the good, what's the bad, and what's the potential? And I think, of course, conferences like this are a great opportunity to kind of stop the craziness of our life and think about some of these bigger issues with technology. And the goal of Connected really was to trigger a global conversation about this subject of connectedness in the 21st century. So we created a whole discussion kit that goes with the film, and it has conversation, very old school, conversation cards and curriculum for educators and a book that goes with the film, because we just feel like the film, in a lot of ways, is the appetizer and the discussion we want people to have with our 80-minute documentary, is exploring in their own life, both personally and globally, what is the best part of this and what part maybe we need to talk about. So we did a lot of experiments with the film and engagement with our audiences. So as a film director, you know, this is my 8th movie, and a lot of times I'd make a film, it would show in theaters or at festivals, and I would have absolutely no contact with the audience unless maybe they signed up for my email. So you have to understand how radically different it is that in our credits, we let people text to us to join a conversation about connectedness. So on our Facebook page, we have the most active Facebook community of people from all over the world that have seen Connected and are interested in this topic. So it's so exciting to be alive as a filmmaker right now because really we're doing market research every day. I mean, we are doing experiments with our Facebook community really about dialogue and engagement. And then we took all of this energy that's happening around the bigger film, and we've been doing some new experiments with participation. But I'm going to show you a segment from Connected that we called this section the Participatory Revolution, because again, it feels like such an exciting time to be alive, and this clip to me talks about the potential of all this technology.
Still in its infancy, the internet is helping each of us to synthesize the two hemispheres of our mind. Clicking through the radical explosion of text information online is activating the left hemisphere, and linking from page to page, video to video, is stimulating the right hemisphere. The internet is literally changing the way we think, moving us through a constantly evolving landscape of words and images at the touch of a keystroke, synthesizing the two hemispheres of our brain. If this rewiring of the brain is happening on an individual level to each person who uses the web, imagine the cumulative effect of a Da Vinci-type brain synthesis on a global scale. Today, there are close to 2 billion people online. What would the world look like if everyone on the planet could be online? It's not that far away. There are already 5 billion cell phones on the planet. We're at the beginning of a participatory revolution. People's ideas are free to interact, reproduce, and cross-pollinate instantaneously, creating new hybrid ideas that combine perspectives from all over the world, connecting ideas, data, and cultures from millions of brains into a global thinking structure with infinite possibilities.
So that section is kind of the climax of the film, of the potential. So what we started doing is we wanted to put this participatory revolution into action. So my film studio, we just started this new film series called Let It Ripple, Mobile Films for Global Change. And we just wanted to experiment. What would happen if we started making movies with people from all over the world using the cloud, using the internet? So the first thing we did is the last line of Connected is, perhaps it's time to declare our interdependence. So we rewrote the Declaration of Independence and made it into a Declaration of Interdependence, and we posted it on the internet, just very simply posted it. We tweeted and we sent an email and Facebook about it. And then this amazing thing started happening. We asked people to record themselves or send us artwork inspired from this very short script. So we started getting videos from all over the world. We got them from Haiti, Rwanda, Europe. They would just be pouring in every day. Then we edited it all together. Here's some of the artwork we got. And again, from every continent. And I'm going to show you what we made in our first experiment in cloud filmmaking.
When in the course of human events,
在人类活动的过程中
In the course of human events,
عندما نكون في مضمار الأحداث البشرية.
Quand dans le cours des événements humains,
becomes increasingly necessary
Para reconocer
to recognize the fundamental qualities
yang menghubungkan kita.
that connect us.
That connect us?
That connect us.
après ça, nous l'évaluer.
The truths we hold
To be self-evident.
Alors nous devons réévaluer les vérités que nous tenons pour acquises.
That all humans are
created equal.
And all are connected.
比如每个人都是生来平等，并且联系在一起的。
that we share the pursuits of life,
La recherche d'une vie meilleure.
Liberty,
الخروج,
happiness.
food,
والغذاء. Water. Agua. Shelter. El refugio. Seguridad.
Education
Justice.
and hopes for a better future.
That our collective knowledge,
Economy, technology, and environment are
fundamentally interdependent.
Interdépendant.
ketergantungan kita.
that what will propel us forward
لأن لدينا شجاعة على التقدير.
is our curiosity.
Curiosité.
Rasa ingin tahu kita.
Our ability to forgive, kemampuan kita untuk memaafkan,
our ability to appreciate,
Our courage.
courage,
Keberanian kita.
and our desire to connect.
D'être connecté.
Punquality.
That these things we share. في نهاية المطاف إلا تطور.
To our fullest common potential.
Le cose che noi teniamo insieme sono le cose del nostro mondo.
我们应该严肃对待我们的问题。
We should never take ourselves too seriously.
Kwa sababu jambo jingine linalotuunganisha
هو قدرتنا على التحرك.
Dan upaya kita untuk belajar dari kesalahan kita.
So that we can learn from the past
understand our place in the world,
Memahami tempat kita di dunia.
Use our collective knowledge.
To create a better future.
去创造一个更美好的未来。
So perhaps it's time.
Jadi mungkin sudah saatnya kita
That we, as a species,
sebagai spesies, as a species,
You love to laugh. Que disfruta de reír.
Love to laugh.
Poser questions.
Ask questions and connect.
Do something radical and true. For centuries,
We have declared
independence.
Perhaps it's now time
that we
As humans,
declare our interdependence.
independenza.
Interdependence.
interdependence.
So that was our first experiment, and I have to tell you how incredibly, like, I was making a movie with people from all over the world that I had never met and that I might never meet. And just editing it together, I can't even, I don't know, it was just, to me, this is the potential of collaboration and creativity, is to be able to make a film like this. So that's the first of the film. So then we wanted to take this experiment further. So you know how in the film we say declare your interdependence and people can, you know, obviously a Google map goes down. So we were having them engage, and we've had thousands of people declare from all over the world. And then we thought, well, what if we replace our call to action with any nonprofit's call to action? And before we did that, the film, we were really excited because YouTube decided to feature the film on their homepage on Interdependence Day last year. And people started volunteer translating it. And just to give you a sense, some of my other films that have played at, you know, over 100 film festivals, maybe it was translated into 6 languages total. Within 6 weeks, this film was translated by volunteer translators into 65 languages. And so we have this film in 65 different languages, so we thought, let's offer allowing nonprofits to use it for free, and we can very easily change the ending of the movie. So here's, I'm showing you just how people, do you see all the translations at the bottom? Now we know Google does this, but it's a much more accurate translation, obviously. So we I gave a talk and I said, we'll make free endings. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is the ending of the movie that you saw. So we basically changed ours to theirs. So this is a company that takes old cell phones and recycles them. So basically we launched this December of last year, and we've already made 80 free movies for nonprofits. And if you're working with any nonprofit organization that could use an inspiring film, you know, people are using them at events, they're using them to raise money, they're using them in a million different ways. But it's so fun for me to be able to take this film and then make it feel special and customized for other organizations. So here's some examples of other customized Declaration of Interdependence. Obviously, we have 80 and another 10 in the works. I think by the end of the year, Gesundheit, we'll have probably 300. And what else this does is it lets the nonprofits, all these different organizations, and if you saw the breadth of the different organizations using them, they're from every different sector, but it helps them see how they have a common goal. So it's done kind of twofold things. It gets them a film to use, and it shows them a bigger vision of interdependence. So we were so excited by that experiment that we are now making 20 of these films in the next 4 years. And the one I'm working on right now is called Brain Power. And it looked at all this exciting new research about the brain from Harvard and the University of Washington and Berkeley about how do you best nurture a child's brain. And as all the scientists were talking to me about it, they were using so much of the same language that all my internet and computer scientists used. And the ways to best nurture the internet, I saw amazing parallels to best nurture a child's brain. So the film is going to be about 8 minutes. It's going to be longer than a Declaration of Interdependence, but it really looks at the best ways to nurture a young child's brain and really how to nurture the internet, which I feel like is at the same stage as a toddler. And we're just completing that film. And then, of course, we'll do customized versions of this film for educators, policymakers, anyone working with the internet development or brain development. So over the next 4 years, we're going to tackle all these different subjects: money, power, creativity, happiness. But, you know, again, I just feel like with every one of these films, I'm going to experiment with engagement, which is what we were talking about earlier, is how do you engage with people to do something with you that's bigger than you two? This is really kind of the way I see my filmmaking. It used to be very centralized. This is actually a very famous DARPA map where they first talked about decentralization. And this was done a very long time ago, but it's interesting to think about today in terms of all of businesses are changing from a centralized model to a decentralized model. I was given this award last week, the Disruptive Innovation Award, and they gave us a hammer as the award. And it was from Maslow's hierarchy, and he said, if you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. And I feel like today, with all these smartphones, if you have a camera in your hand, everything looks like a story. And that, to me, as a filmmaker, is incredibly exciting to engage with people. I feel like this time that we're living in, I feel like we're just on the edge and we keep on pushing things forward. This is one of my favorite quotes. At my film studio, I'm like, well, let's try it. What can happen? Let's kind of go to the edge of this and then push further. And that's where I feel like we are right now. So with that, this is, we just published last week the Cloud Filmmaking Manifesto, which you can read the entire thing, but the 5 principles, which I think you could apply to all of your businesses, whatever you're in, is figure out ways to collaborate, figure out how to do ideas that are bigger and speak to all of humanity, use the translation tools. They're so wonderful. You can, of course, use them on YouTube or Google, but I think personal human translation is important. And keep on experimenting and pushing the boundaries. That's what's so incredibly exciting about the time that we're living in, is that anyone can experiment and have immediate feedback.
So we'll open it up for questions. I'm sure there has to be some questions after seeing all the wonderful filmmaking. Who wants to start it off?
I just had an observation when you did that film. What struck me is, how could we ever have another world war?
Well, that's what I mean, I just got chills when you said that, because that's the hope. The hope is that we have so many tools to share the human experience and empathy and hardships and good things and bad things, and that how can, exactly. I mean, even going through losing my father, it connected me to so many people that had lost their parents in a way that you never, it's like until you become a mother, like you're suddenly connected to women, or in this whole new way, like hardships connect you. So I think with Facebook, the reason why I called Connected an autoblogography, I didn't correct you on when you said the title, but no, everybody, you should have seen the press try to get that word. Like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But I called it an autoblogography because the film is half autobiographical about my own life and half about civilization and connectedness. But I think, and ironically, there's hardly any documentaries like that, so it was very unique, you know, as it came out. There's just not that many personal documentaries. But I think that everyone, every day, is trying to figure out how to do their autoblogography. Every tweet and Facebook you send out, you're trying to convey who you are. This is who I am. This is what interests me. This is what I'm feeling right now. And I think that the touchy-feely emotional part, which I completely ignored from my movie for the first 2 years, is what it's all about. What it's all about is what connects us. And I think when people and companies understand that more, and authenticity, people can just sniff out if you're not being authentic and real. And when I made that film personal, the one guiding principle is I better be incredibly honest here. That's my only guiding principle. And I think that authenticity is incredibly important today.
With the power of what you're showing here, well, why would you not concentrate to a degree on what divides us if you're able to pull people and make them more connected, understand those divisions? Why would you not concentrate on what divides us a little bit in order to, in effect, bring people together?
I feel like that's what the news does every single day. I mean, I do not think we need more channels of what divides us. I mean, I can't even watch the news anymore. And I feel like, look at, you've got YouTube, and the goal with this whole series of new films is, let me make a series of 20 films that are what connects us. I mean, we're all watching dancing babies and kids on the internet. Like, let's take it to a higher level. Like, let's put through all the powerful channels that we have, powerful ideas to remind us what connects us, so maybe we won't be killing each other so much. That really is the goal.
So I was just watching the news this morning, and Mark Zuckerberg was being interviewed with respect to the donor in the first day of saying that you could now donate organs through Facebook. I'm sure you know about this. 100,000 in one day did this. So I think that he is just, if this is the tip of the iceberg of the power that he has in his hands too, and then how do you respond to that, and how would you charge someone like him to even push this further to the depth? Maybe you can't like you are, but...
Well, no, I mean, what's exciting is I'm using all these channels that they're creating to create in whole new ways. And we are just at the tip of the iceberg. I think they're going to look back on this time, and it's going to be called the age of collaboration. I mean, when you're seeing scientists that have never, scientists, it was very kind of, we weren't sharing data. And suddenly, the University of Washington, they posted the DNA AIDS strand on a problem they couldn't solve, and in 10 days, world gamers from around the world solved it. It's just the beginning. I don't think we even, I make my films very differently now. Like, my whole staff and even my team remotely work on Google Docs, and we write. You should see the way we write. People laugh when they see it. There's like 4 people on a Google Doc. I'm sure you guys use them too, but it's funny to watch because we're writing sentences, finishing each other's sentences. We are just at the beginning of that. So I think the fact that what Facebook has at its hands, if we can really have mindful discussions, which is our goal with Connected. And what's exciting is we're showing this film at corporations, at organizations. We're like, okay, let's all stop for a second. Let's put down the phones and actually talk about what's the potential. What's the bad part? Maybe I shouldn't be on all the time when I'm with my kids. What's the hope? And if we can, I ultimately, so many people are worried about like teenagers with technology or all this technology. I hear a lot of that. I'm so not worried because I ultimately believe in humans. I believe we keep evolving, and we, when the written word was invented, the big concern was we were going to lose our memory. That's what Socrates was worried about. When I was a kid, it was television was going to destroy my brain. I know a lot of people are worried. We're online so much. I'm not worried at all. I think we finally created the tool that's expanding our brain in this whole new way, but we do have to have a conversation about it. And we have to stop moving so quickly all the time and just go, and I do it once a week. That, to me, has been really powerful.
I was wondering if you're thinking about using this to engage people in their healthcare. Because one of the things you talked about is corporations need to take this and open it up and collaborate more. And I think that there's a lot we need to be doing where we each can help each other out, but we're not leveraging that. And too much is bi-directional, doctor to patient, patient to doctor, but it's not really communities of learning. And so we do a lot of studies at our company about how to engage the patient, the consumer. And there's a lot of speculation about that, and a lot of pluses and minuses, but it seems that you might be puzzling through something that
might be a great topic. Yeah, I mean, you should see, like, originally it started out as 4 films. I've thought of 20 already. I'm like, every week I'm like, oh, like, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. I mean, it's like, all of these shorts will then become my next feature in like 4 or 5 years, but that would be, I come from a family of doctors. My father was a surgeon, my brother's a doctor, and so around the dinner table all the time, this discussion, I think that would be a great topic. Maybe you'll see it in a couple of years. And if you want to engage in these experiments, I should say, to really understand how they work, it's like, engage in one. Send in, like, it's just to walk through the whole process of like doing this has been really fun on both sides.
I wonder if you could help us more specifically as market researchers. It occurs to me that in looking at what I think you call the brain synthesis, that's one of our massive challenges, is that not all thoughts are equally intelligent in synthesis and helpful to us. So I wonder if it's analogous to your editing process. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you edit the massive amounts of information that comes to you through the connected world?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, in all of this brain research that I've been immersed in for the last year, it talks about how, I mean, this is again a link between the brain and the internet, but you are constantly making decisions. Like, what's the mind's most valuable resource? What's the mind's most valuable resource? Does anyone have any thoughts about that? It's your attention. That is the mind's most valuable resource. And you are constantly shifting where you're placing your attention. And the brain scientists will say, where you pay attention, those will strengthen those neural connections. And with the internet, I would counter that with the internet, the things you're spending the most time on, the internet, Facebook, whatever, you're strengthening those connections. But another really important skill that applies to anything really is sifting good data from bad. There's a great new book that just came out by Howard Rheingold called Net Smarts, How to Thrive with the Internet. I can't remember the tagline. It's a great book about just this subject. Because that's what this is about, is how do you sift good data from bad? Through any medium. You used to have to do this with television, books, now it's the internet. So I just think it's critical thinking, really. You know, it's about being like a, you know, discernment, which will always be a really important part of being human.
How do you feel about this Arab Spring movement, which connects the grassroots people, but sort of leads to this conflict and rebellion against governments?
Well, it's interesting. So Connected premiered at Sundance January of last year. So January. And Arab Spring happened in April. So it was interesting because it was like the film came out and then like all these things, I was like, something big's gonna happen, and Arab Spring happened, and you know, we're still seeing the aftermath of that and it hasn't totally shaken out. But you know, again, again, I believe in humans. I think that if you look at the course of history, there was just a book that came out about how violence is actually decreasing by Pinkard. That's great. I think you watch the news, you wouldn't think that, but it's drastically decreasing. And I think people are having more access to knowledge than ever before, and they're smarter. They're understanding their connectedness more because of the internet. So I ultimately am optimistic. I really am. You just have to, I'm a big history buff. And if you just look at trends of history, you know, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back for sure. But over the course of history, we have this new tool that we are just at the tip of understanding the power of. That is really just us. People talk about technology as if it's not, it's this thing. It's us. It's good, it's bad, it's all of those things because it's just an extension. We created it. So how do we be super mindful on how we use it? So ultimately, we have yet to see how that's all going to shake out, but on the bigger picture, I'm hopeful.
As you know, I have a question for you actually. As you know, there's a big sort of industry and whether it's like the tech scene, entrepreneur scene, all the social scene of this convergence versus divergence. So as we become more and more connected digitally, you know, are people looking for that unified connectivity? Like, are they looking for a Facebook that runs all of their connectivity across the web? And actually across their lives? Or are they looking for something that's more divergent and more segregated? Because it's interesting that in your films you're talking about interconnectedness and interconnectivity, but then you're also talking about sort of a decentralized connectivity as well. So is it even one or the other? Is it really convergence or divergence that we should be looking at? Because it has an interesting implication on the research industry in terms of how do we want to connect with people.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, I like that all my people are in one space on Facebook. It actually makes things easier, right? So, but within Facebook, there's the pocket niches of communities who are into certain pages or on our connected Facebook page or whatever. So I think it's both. I think the power, I mean, when I started the Webby Awards, there were so few people online. It was really exciting, this new medium, but it's way more exciting now with 2 billion people online. And now we have these tools where you can really access them easily. So I think it's a combination. Definitely. And that's the great thing about the web, you know, is it self-corrects. This is another similarity to the brain. It's like no one really can put their arms around the web. There's another great book out that I'm reading called Tubes, and it's based on some comment that got ridiculed about, oh, the internet's just a bunch of tubes. Well, it really is a bunch of tubes. And this book actually, like an investigative report, follows all the connections and tubes of the internet. No one can understand how big the internet is. No one can get their arms around it, and no one really understands the brain, and that's another connection. Anyways, thank you. Super great Q&A. Really appreciate it. Thank you.